Hello. Unfortunately, I do not speak Russian very well, so I'm gonna use English.
I am the director of the BIM department in Vinci Construction Grand Projet. So my presentation, I will first introduce you a little bit my company and what we are doing, and mainly what are our BIM requirements. Then I will give you two examples of, it's very specific examples of how we can use BIM really for the site. So it's the following part after the designer have worked is what we can do as a construction company on the site with the BIM. And then I will give you a few insights of what we expect to do in the near future. So I guess most of you know about the Vinci Construction Group. It's the first group in Europe, and if you remove Chinese very big companies, we are almost first in the world, with a revenue of 40 billion euros. Two branches, one for concession, and we are operating, for example, a motorway, the part of the motorway Moscow-St. Petersburg, the part close to Moscow, and the contracting part, and I belong to the last part here, Vinci Construction. So my company, Vinci Construction Grand Projet, is meant to design and build major civil engineering or building structures all around the world. Our revenue is 1.35 billion euros, and we have approximately 7,000 employees around the world. So the BIM needs that we have come from the fact that we are building very different structures all around the world. So here you have a few examples, bridges and viaducts. We are currently building the Atlantic Bridge over the Panama Channel, which will be the longest concrete span for a cable-stayed bridge with more than 500 meters. We are building a lot of tunnels, being traditional methods, TBM, or even immersed tunnel. We hope we will be starting soon with the world record immersed tunnel for road and rail between Denmark and Germany. We have been awarded the contract, but there are still some permits to be obtained. We are working for roads and rail projects. We have been completed last year the Tours-Bordeaux high-speed line in France, 300 kilometers. We are working on the Grand Paris Express project, a lot of metro lines, smart motorway, improvement of motorways in around London. And we are involved in the HS2 high-speed line in between Birmingham and London in UK. We are working on airports. We have been building 3 airports in Cambodia, and we are currently working on the Santiago International Airport. I will focus a little bit more on that project later. And some quite high-level buildings, I would say. Mandarin Oriental in London, I will also give some more information on it. And we have been building in the last years a very nice villa around Moscow in Russia. We are also involved in water, energy, or industrial projects in general. For example, here you can see the ITER project, the one for studying fusion, which is a joint project with many countries, including Russia, being involved. And we have been completing the LNG tanks in Yamal, which had been inaugurated by President Vladimir Putin last year. So as you can see, we are working all around the world, from Santiago to Yamal, from Panama to Malaysia. And so, based on that multiple type of projects and multiple type of countries, of clients, we need to be what I call agnostic. It means that we need to be able to deal with many types of modeling tools. Of course, Revit for buildings, but also Bentley products, Tekla, Katia, even working with PDMS with some industrial partners. And also, in terms of exchange platform, we are working with different partners. Every time we are in a country, we work with local partners or other international companies. So we really have to be able to work with any kind of tool. So this is one of the BIM requirements that we have. And we need these tools to be able to talk to each other, which is not the easy part for today. And more generally, of course, you can't read this, but it is try to make a cartography of the BIM ecosystem. So from the, I don't know if I can show, but on the top left, you have the existing conditions, the scans, then the modeling tools, all what is virtual reality or renderings, all the design support tool to do the issues tracking and things like that. Of course, the CDE, the platforms, and then all what is related for construction support and delivering as-built models. So I will now focus a little bit on the Santiago Airport project and what we did, especially with 4D. So the project, we had, so there was an existing terminal, and we had to build a new one, which will be the international terminal, with 4 boarding halls and a new boarding hall for Terminal 1, 2 buildings for car parks and also surface car parks, and of course additional aprons and platforms for the planes, including 1 new taxiway. It is approximately $1 billion project. So the intent was to allow the airport to accommodate from 16 million passengers a year to 30 million. So in total, it's about 350,000 square meters of buildings and approximately 1 million square meter of platforms. So I can show you a short movie. Just the start of it to see a little bit more how the project looked like. This movie actually was made before we get the project. So you can see the existing terminal, which is over there. There you see the additional boarding hall that we have to build, and then the new terminal. Here with the 4 boarding halls. Of course, connections between the different terminals and boarding halls, the car parks. And I will stop here. The rest of the film is getting more in detail, but it's not the purpose. So, for this project has been made 100% in BIM. So we used BIM, of course, for the design phase. We have been using subcontracted designers. So scanning the existing conditions, especially for the connections with the existing buildings. Of course, design authoring for all the disciplines. We have approximately 100 models for this project. It is split by area, geographical area, and of course by discipline. We have been doing design review with these models, 3D coordination, obviously. We have been using BIMtrack to do the issues tracking all along the design. It was a requirement that all the 2D drawings be extracted from the models. So we have been preparing that from the models. Of course, doing some nice movies and renderings. So this was for the design phase. Now for the preparation of the works, of course, we have been doing quantity takeoffs, preparing the methods, location of the cranes and things like that. And for the simulation, I will emphasize a little bit more on that. On the site, what we are doing is some geometrical quality control with 3D scans and site management based on models on tablets and recording what's going on the site and bringing it back to the BIM models. Because at the end, we had to deliver to the client a has-been model incorporating all the data from the construction. And we had to link that to the facility management. And we do that with the help of a tool called Ecodomus, which helps us gather all the data, export in COBie format to the IBM Maximo software for the owner. I will not read that, but among the requirements, we had the requirement to be able to provide a comparison between the planned activity and the actual activity being performed on site, and this either on 2D or on 3D. So this was a client requirement. So what we did is this kind of movies. This is from January, so you can see on the top the time schedule, and you may not see a lot at the time, but it starts to go to see the different activities. So on the left, the planned activities, and on the right, the real. So you can see that in some places we are in advance, but as usual in construction, some places we are late. Here you can see the concrete works are not progressing as much as they should be. And here we start the steel structure, which is not starting there. So this was basically what the client was requiring. It's nice, it's pictures, you can understand very well what's going on. However, it's not very detailed and you cannot really work with that. So what we did is say, okay, now that we have the tools, let's see what we can do more with it. And so what we did is this. So it's a daily scheduling model, so a 4D model. You can see all the activities being performed one by one. And this is actually the job we did to really use the BIM models for the site. And on the site, we are still working with drawing. So the actual final product is this. It's daily drawing, daily phasing. So you can see here each day moving. And with the detailed activities of each day. So I have a few of them. And on top, you may have seen, we have the detailed activities. So here, for example, you have reinforcement, concrete, hardening, removal of the formwork. And here you have the quantities, so the daily quantities. Here we decided to focus on concrete, but it could be on any other quantity. So the concrete volumes and the cumulated volumes. So this was the way we really brought the BIM to the site. It was quite a process. We used the Synchro tool for doing that, to merge on one side the BIM model and on the other side our time schedule, which had been developed on Primavera. And for this, of course, we had to link each task to one or more objects. We had to subdivide some objects because, for example, a slab, you don't pour it in one go, so you have to subdivide in the tool the slab. Of course, address the different activities to each object. And to specify what are the production rates, etc. So it was quite a job to do that. But the big point, the very nice point, is that it can be updated very easily. So what I suggest is that we hear the actual construction manager, because I'm here just to sell you something, but he's really the one using it. So let's hear him. The subtitles are in English, and I guess you have a translation. He is speaking in French. Can we have the sound? Oh, Well, it's only music and French, so you can read the subtitles.
De donner au client une séquence en 4D du projet, séquence animée à partir du planning contractuel. Et donc le BIM manager et ses équipes ont fait une consultation et ont acheté une licence à une entreprise californienne pour un logiciel qui s'appelle 4D Synchro. Et une des autres fonctionnalités de ce logiciel, c'est qu'il pouvait permettre de faire des séquences de travail de production. Une fois qu'on a découpé le modèle BIM pour arriver à ce qu'on va réellement produire, on rentre ça dans le logiciel et on y rajoute des séquences, des rendements, des cadences, des temps de séchage, des temps de bétonnage. Et ensuite, on sort un carnet de rotation classique, on va dire, mais en plus du modèle 3D, carnet de rotation qui, pour le chantier, représente 450 pages, 450 jours de travail. Le plus qu'a cette fonctionnalité, c'est que ça peut être remis à jour quotidiennement. On lui dit, on a coulé tel poteau, telle poutre, tel plancher. Il recalcule automatiquement le phasage du lendemain, du surlendemain, tout en gardant l'objectif final du calendrier.
Quand je suis arrivé, j'ai découvert la plateforme BIM. Tout d'abord, ça m'a énormément aidé pour rentrer dans le projet, puisque je me suis rendu compte qu'on pouvait comprendre le projet en quelques heures, là où il fallait quelques jours, c'est-à-dire ouvrir des plans de détail. Et avec la maquette, on rentre dans la maquette, on circule dans la maquette et ça permet vraiment de s'imprégner du projet très rapidement. J'ai vite compris que ça allait m'apporter énormément au niveau de la consultation des entreprises. On a trouvé un outil qui s'appelle Assemble qui permet d'extraire du BIM des quantités très rapidement. Donc là où on faisait également des métrés en plusieurs semaines, voire quelques mois sur un projet de cette dimension, on réduit les échéances. Donc ça, c'est un point positif. On a des résultats très précis.
Dans le terminal international, on a 6 grues qui cohabitent ensemble. On a effectivement placé les grues comme par expérience on les aurait mis. Ensuite, j'ai donné ces emplacements à un beamer qui m'a implanté les grues et dessiné les grues en 3 dimensions. Et automatiquement sur la maquette, en 10 minutes, on s'est tout de suite rendu compte des conflits. Et on a pu, avec le beamer, déplacer les grues pour arriver ensuite au plan 2D qu'on a habituellement. Donc c'est une façon complètement différente de travailler qui fait gagner du temps en fait.
Quand les entreprises...
Okay, we can move to the following part. So I will now talk about another project. We had to refurbish the Mandarin Oriental Hotel in London. So the aim of the project is the refurbishment of a 5-star hotel located close to Hyde Park and Buckingham Palace. So you can imagine a little bit the level of this hotel. We had to create 1 additional floor on the roof to refurbish all the rooms, the restaurants, and so on, with, of course, very high quality finishes, with marble, cornices, and so on. And the works had to be performed while the hotel was still functioning. They were closing part of it, and we had to work on it. And the building, which is from the 19th century, had already been modified a number of times. So it was quite a complicated challenge. So what we did with BIM on this project, first thing was to do very high quality renderings to allow the client to select very precisely what he wanted, to really make choices so that we don't have to come back later and say, oh, I don't like this, I want to change that, and so on. But the big thing with it was the existing conditions, because we didn't have really good drawings from the existing buildings, and we had to adapt the design to the exact situation, and all the windows and walls at different dimensions. We had to locate the networks because we couldn't refit completely, for example, the water network in one go because the hotel was still working. There were some existing elements to be preserved, and all this we had very limited access to the rooms before start of the works because the hotel was still running, and we could just go between 2 guests in the rooms. And each room were different one from the other. So what we did for that is that we used on a wide scale the 3D scan tools. So this is a picture taken after removal of the finishes. Actually, we did 2 scans, one before removal, and this is the result of the 3D scan, and one after. So it takes approximately half an hour to make a scan of this room, a complete scan. So between 2 guests, you can just step in, do the scan, and get out. And with that, you have absolutely all the information of the existing condition of the building. Based on that, of course, we superimposed the point cloud to the design we had already prepared on the basis of the existing drawings. And we could check what are the differences, and we could adapt exactly the design. For example, for ordering the windows that you have, of course, to order much beforehand placing them. We have been able to adapt the design accordingly. We also used the BIM during construction also with tablets to record what was going on the site. And finally, we will have also to deliver handover at handover stage the as-built BIM model in a COBie format to be exported in the maintenance system. So same here, I suggest that we hear the construction guys, because they are the ones who are really using it.
C'est un projet de rénovation d'hôtel de luxe. Donc, il s'agit de l'hôtel Mandarin Hyde Park, situé au cœur de Londres. Le challenge de cette opération, c'est que c'est un hôtel qui est en activité pendant les travaux de rénovation. Il a à peu près 180 chambres, dont la moitié à peu près a été faite en phase 1. Il y a également toutes les zones publiques, les restaurants, le spa, le bar et des salles de conférence. Le client, quand il nous confie ce projet, il a très peu de plans de l'existant. Et en même temps, ces plans sont inadaptés à ce que nous, on doit faire et dans le délai qu'on a pour faire les travaux. Donc on ressent tout de suite le besoin de développer un outil 3D qui va capturer le bâtiment tel qu'il existe, nous fournir une banque de données précise pour faire nos quantitatifs et prévoir nos travaux, et également nous guider dans la synthèse et tout ce qui va permettre la bonne exécution du chantier dans le temps imparti.
Du fait d'un accès très restreint aux chambres, on a choisi d'utiliser la technique du scan 3D pour pouvoir capturer rapidement le maximum d'informations et ensuite pouvoir utiliser ce nuage de points pour modéliser et être réellement au plus près de l'existant, pouvoir capturer des détails comme des corniches existantes, des dados décoratifs qui étaient à conserver. On avait besoin d'en connaître la dimension, d'en connaître la position. Donc à partir de là, la capture en 3D nous permet d'avoir en un seul passage, soit à peu près 30 minutes, pour avoir la totalité de la géométrie existante. Post-curage, on est repassé pour faire une deuxième campagne de scan dans la totalité des chambres. Donc on a rescanné à ce moment-là les problématiques type mur porteur, colonnes, poutres, etc., qui n'avaient pas pu être déterminées préalablement.
On a fait le choix d'acquérir l'outil et de former des jeunes ingénieurs ici sur chantier. L'avantage, il est grand pour l'entreprise, c'est-à-dire qu'en termes de ressources humaines, on a des gens qui sont formés à utiliser un outil moderne, à traiter un nuage de points, à le rentrer sous Revit, et tout ça, c'est bon pour l'entreprise, ça fait progresser tout le monde.
Le nuage donne l'information, il faut savoir la lire. On a besoin d'avoir des gens qui ont un œil très exercé, du fait de géométries qui sont, pour certaines chambres, extrêmement complexes.
On a passé plus de temps à étudier la phase 2 parce qu'on a scanné toutes les chambres. Donc là, on a 100% de la géométrie avant de démarrer le chantier. Ce temps passé en plus aux études nous permet de raccourcir le temps de travaux. On a donc diminué de 4 semaines la durée des travaux sur la phase 2.
Dans nos différents repérages d'avant-projet, on avait beaucoup de mal à déterminer les hauteurs, les réseaux existants. Et le scan a permis très rapidement de recaler ces plans existants et d'avoir en fait la future enveloppe. On a pu déterminer tous nos passages de technique. Ça nous a permis d'anticiper ça et vraiment d'avoir un résultat meilleur et un suivi de travaux plus tranquille et un suivi de design plus cohérent.
On a dans l'équipe un fonctionnement entre les travaux et les études qui est très positif parce qu'il y a des passerelles évidentes, les gens se parlent pour aller chercher l'info sur le terrain, la ramener au bureau d'études et inversement la remonter sur le terrain. Nous, Vinci Construction, on baigne dans le BIM, on le développe, on le travaille, ce qui n'est pas forcément le cas des parties externes comme consultants, architectes, sous-traitants, clients. Le progrès demain, c'est que tout le monde utilise cet outil commun, un outil commun en tout cas, et qu'on puisse tous s'enrichir mutuellement.
Okay, so this is what we are actually doing. It's just 2 examples. Of course, there could be many others. So what's coming from the coming months or years? Regarding the 4D, what we would like to do is to use it more and more for methods and so on. What we need to be able to do is to, for example, add all the equipments. You have seen that on the models I show you, there was just, the tower cranes and a few big equipments, but we really need to see this implemented, and for that we need to be able to import from the providers in our models. We have to identify all the workplaces, the pathways at each phase. We would like also to be able to do some automatic checking of crane workload or some safety issues, such as work being performed one over the other, and so on, to focus more on this. We are trying to start implementing training using virtual reality. So this is just a show for a training experience where you can see that there is missing a guardrail somewhere, and with the tool he has to put it. It's very basic at the moment, but it's where we are tending to go. Of course, using more and more tablets or even with the iPhones, be it a 10 or whatever smartphone, for doing all the reports from the site and bringing it back to the BIM models, because at the end it's what we need to deliver in one repository. Then, for the time being, we are still working with drawings, and I think it will last some time. However, we are starting to try to use augmented reality for production. So here for positioning rebar or inserts. So for now, we are doing some tests. We are experimenting, trying. There are quite a number of issues, including the issue of accuracy, because we are looking for centimeter and or less. And today the tools are not that accurate, or it's very difficult to reach this level of accuracy. But it's something that will come in the years. There are also some issues with the ergonomy, because working with HoloLens on a site is not that easy, and after half an hour you get really tired. So, but it will come. It will come for sure. Other things that we are trying to do is to use more and more 3D scans and mobile 3D scan to be able to, for example, here we are doing a test for scanning a rebar cage and being able to compare the point cloud to the model and check whether the rebar cage is correct or not. Here also, we are facing a lot of difficulties of accuracy, of being able to scan all the cage, and of automatic comparison between the point cloud and the models. But it's the way we are trying to go. So, спасибо большое.
Спасибо большое. У нас we have time for questions. Сейчас мы подключим.
So we will give all of you our system. So we still have some time for questions. If you want to ask questions, please raise your hand. The first question will be from our online listeners. The question is on the airport, on the Santiago airport. So how did you address the issue of engineering systems, MEP models? Did you provide coordination? Did you create models? And what kind of BIM tools did you use for that?
Okay, for the airport, what we did, of course, we are working with subcontractors, be it designers, and we had 3 to 5 designers, different designers for this project, and then subcontractors, which will go in further detailing of the existing design. And all this has been performed with BIM, so each we have been working on a BIM level 2 process, so each designer or then subcontractor was in charge of developing its own model for only his activities. So it was with Revit for all the buildings and with Civil 3D for the infrastructure part. And we gathered all the models with Navisworks and then used BIM tracks or other tools to check to do all the coordination works, be it of the MEP with the concrete structure, steel structure, facades, all architectural finishes. So basically, it's I would say a standard process working in BIM level 2. Even if it's not standard for everybody yet, but it's what we did on this project.
Спасибо большое. Есть ли вопросы из зала?
Do we have further questions from the floor? The colleague over there, could you please give the mic to the colleague? Thank you for this informative presentation. I'd like to know what kind of support program you used to create the BIM model after the laser scanning, and what kind of software products you discussed to do that. What kind of selection you had to select a product to meet this goal in a short time frame.
Actually, for this project, we did it kind of manually. So we got the point cloud from Faro 3D scan. So we used the Faro tool to get, I would say, a clean point cloud. But then the comparison to the model, to the Revit model, was made manually. One designer going through all the design of each room and checking where are the pipes, what is the dimensions of the windows, and so on. For now, we are experimenting or trying to find some good tools to make really more automated comparison between point cloud and models, but it's very it's just the beginning, and we are working with developers to try to improve that. You have companies such as ClearEdge 3D, which provides some features, but it's still very, I would say, basic. I guess it's not basic from the IT point of view, but it's basic from the user point of view. And we are also working with even a research institute, for example, for the rebar scanning that I showed you. We are working with startups from the CEA, the Nuclear Research Institute in France, to develop some automatic checking between point cloud and the models.
Спасибо. Есть
Thank you. Do we have further questions? One more question from project managers in this hall online. How many strings in the 4D models that you demonstrated to us?
To be honest,
Ну, я не
more than 6,000. The Primavera schedule for this project is quite huge, and actually it's not one schedule, but it's different schedules that have been compiled in this 4D model. Actually, this 4D model, you have several models because each discipline has its own model, as I told you, and same for the time schedule. So it has been gathered all together through this tool called Synchro.
Спасибо большое.
Thank you. Thank you, Olivier.